Village meeting, the regular meeting of the Elmont Village Council, July 7th, 2026 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Feldman.
Present.
Glasser. Miller.
Present.
Powell.
Present.
Schneider.
Present.
Steffler. Present. And Dyke.
Present. Do we have any additions or deletions to the proposed agenda as presented? If none, can we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by President Pro Tem Stoffler, supported by Councilmember Miller to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. I have no communications. Approval of consent agenda, regular meeting minutes, June 16th, and special meeting, June 29th, 2026.
Just a few minor corrections. For the special meeting, regular meeting of June 16th. Number 1, we just put that the village council does not object to the event. That's accurate. I just wanted to add the 2 other notes that I recall that we put in there, which was council asked Chief Willis to provide a vehicle for one-way traffic and for staff to follow up with Mr. Kulka in 1 month, just to clarify. Under item number 2, it was Councilmember Feldman that moved, not Councilmember Schneider that moved. Item number 5, there needs to be a correction to the second sentence. It reads that council directed the village manager Kerberson to send the document back to the DDA board with suggested changes, including Exhibit A. We need to strike everything from send through including, because it was council directed manager Kerberson to make the discussed revisions, including the elimination of Exhibit A, and then it was to bring back to village council for a later date. And then the third sentence, the final sentence of number 5, is supposed to include along with manager Kerberson's supporting documentation for the suggested fees. We asked that it come back to council with those red lines along with the supporting documentation, not get sent back to the DDA. And for number 6, same thing. It was Councilmember Feldman, not Councilmember Miller, who seconded. And there's nothing on open discussion, even though we had an open discussion item. So
I seconded that.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Apologies. For some reason, I had a note that it was not. Apologies. The open discussion item, we had review of the Village Township Police Services contract, and after discussion, council reached consensus to send to the township for approval. For the special meeting of June 29th, we're just missing our standard heading for approval of the consent agenda. I have the motion was made by Councilmember Schneider and supported by Councilmember Miller. Passed unanimously by all council members in attendance. And at the very end of those meeting minutes, under council manager comment, I just found the way that we phrased President Dyke and Village Manager Kerberson's back and forth a little odd. Usually it's a kind of a summary of what it was, and instead it reads more like an actual transcript with a question and an answer, and then there's an open-ended question. Just thought maybe we could rephrase that a little bit, unless council's fine with it being that way. Just we're not used to seeing, a question like that. And that's all I had for those.
Anybody else on meeting minutes for the June 16th and special meeting, June 29th meetings? Parks and Recreation Fund?
Just back in the general fund.
Yep.
Under the police department, I'm just curious, there's two lines back to back. I don't know if it's intentional or for police tasers, two different amounts, but it looks like one line and then the next line. Is that correct?
That is correct. We had two separate shipments,
Okay.
so we paid them out separately.
Anybody else on general fund? Parks and Recreation Fund? DDA Fund? Capital Project St. Clair Street Fund? Sewer Fund? Water Fund? Equipment Fund? Payroll Register Report? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, supported by Councilmember Powell to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those,
It was supported by me.
oh, I'm sorry. I'll restate that. Motion to approve the consent agenda made by Councilmember Schneider, supported by Councilmember Feldman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Now is the time for public comment on any regular agenda item tonight. Do we have any public comment on any regular agenda item?
Hi, this is Erica Lego. I just want to make public comment that the regular meeting minutes are not made available online. And for freedom of information, or to discuss meeting minutes and to confirm that everything was as it is, I believe that it should be posted online before the meeting so people can look at the minutes.
Are you saying, clarification. Are you saying the agenda was not posted online or past meeting minutes?
Past meeting minutes.
Okay.
We're just behind on getting all that done, so that's the only reason.
I understand. I'm just making it on the record
Okay.
that needs to be addressed.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else tonight with public comment? Being none, agenda item number 1, applications for appointment to the Remuneration Committee.
What was that, Dale? Nothing.
Who's making the presentation on this one?
Presentation on the remuneration committee.
Yeah,
I had not planned to do that simply because I thought we were appointing members who then would come in and be educated on the committee process and what needed to be done and go from there. I didn't expect to make a presentation to the council. Sorry about that.
Well, I
How does
think
that
he only
read?
meant presentation of the application before us.
Yeah.
He just wanted you to give the preamble lead into,
Oh.
there's an application in front of us to
All
consider.
right, so yes,
Two
you are
applications.
at the point where it appears you will have a fully staffed committee to be able to move on to the business. At the point that you, in fact, reach a full committee size, we will arrange a date with them to bring them in, explain to them, send them a packet, educate them on the process, and then let them go to work.
Sworn in anyway? Good night. Okay.
Ad hoc committee provided for by the charter like every other one, so.
Okay, the first applicant is Mr. Andrew Orr. Is he present tonight? He's got Mr. Orr's application in front of them. Do we have any questions in regards to Mr. Orr's application? Questions? Do we have a motion to appoint?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Andrew Orr to the Remuneration Committee.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Miller, supported by President Pro Tem Stepler, to appoint Andrew Orr to the Remuneration Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Second candidate is Nathaniel Scott Keller. Does anybody have any, I believe Mr. Keller was before us previously, but had not put in an application. So do we have any questions in regard to Mr. Keller's application?
Anything from anybody who sits on the planning commission with him?
He stands up. He has, I thought he has brought an enhancement to the planning commission, especially giving a younger generation's perspective on how things in town should or could be. And he's dependable and very intellect. So that would be my synopsis. I would highly recommend personally. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to make the motion that we appoint Nathaniel Scott Keller to the Remuneration Committee.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, supported by President Pro Tem Stepler, to appoint Nathaniel Keller to the Remuneration, the committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes.
I know Mindy's getting a good kick out of me holding it back as many times as I could.
Agenda item number 2, appointment to planning commission. It came to the planning commission's, it came to the planning commission's attention at their July 2nd meeting that 3 members at that time we were aware of, their service on the commission had expired. And there's a 4th, former President Schneider, who we will address at a special meeting next month with the planning commission. During that meeting, the planning commission moved to reappoint these 3 members to the planning commission. So I am going to, as president, appoint, I'll do these separately, so they're separate motions. I'm going to appoint Gary Zender to the planning commission with a 3-year term ending July 31st, 2029, and would ask for a motion of ratification from council.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, supported by President Pro Tem Stepler, to ratify the president's appointment of Gary Zender to the planning commission with a end date of a date serving through July 30th, 2029. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes unanimously. As president, I'm going to reappoint Glenn Meek as a planning commission member through July 30th, 2029, and would ask a motion of ratification from council.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, supported by President Pro Tem Stepler, to ratify the president's appointment of Glenn Meek to the planning commission with a date ending July 30th, 2029. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. As president, I would like to reappoint Nathan Keller to the Planning Commission with a expiration date of, a term date of July 30th, 2029, and would ask for council's ratification of that appointment.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Snyder, supported by Councilmember Stuffler, to ratify the president's appointment of Nathan Keller to the Planning Commission with a expiration date of July 30th, 2029. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes unanimously. The Planning Commission will be holding a special meeting on July 16th, Thursday, July 16th, to address Steve Schneider's appointment to the Planning Commission and to elect officers, as an FYI. That takes care of agenda item number 2. Agenda item number 3, sewer rates, proposed sewer rates.
Well, Mr. President, I will start out with some broad strokes and then turn it over to Randy for additional comments and, of course, discussion. The sewer rates that we have looked at this year they're always twofold. There's the cost of water, that the water and sewer rates that we have to include, and then there's the CIP, or the cost of future construction, that we build in, and we do a joint total increase in water or sewer on an annual basis. This year, we've been given an increase in rate by Great Lakes Water that was built into the budget that was proposed and adopted. And then we look at how, or if there's going to be an increase. Other than that, going forward, that's what you will talk about tonight. There has been a request to unearth the old CIP that the village has been working under for, I believe, 10 years, which highlights planned or proposed projects that we'd be collecting the monies for if we charge over and above our actual cost for treatment. And that had been supplied to council. The staff commented early on that we felt the fund balances were adequate, and we didn't, during the budget process, we commented that we didn't feel there would be a need for additional funding to be added on to that, a percentage or increase above the actual increase in the cost of water. So that was what you saw in the budget that came to you. And I will turn it over to Randy for a comment.
And I also concur with the village manager, based on the fact that did not know the history and spoke with our DPW supervisor and the one that holds the water license, and he shared with me that that 10-year plan was done by Rural Water when you did the rate study, and they built in the costs of all the capital improvements. So I did, on behalf of Steve Powell's question, pull the actual plan that you have in place, which expires this year, and look at all of the items that were in that plan that had to be done. Most of the ones in the water are not completed yet. I pulled off everything that was. So according to that DPW supervisor that holds the water license, there's a lot of infrastructure underground that we want to make sure we have capital improvement money set aside for that. A lot of that will get resolved, plus the lead and copper rules over these next year or so while we do the St. Clair project. So again, there is fund balance there, but we want to make sure that we don't totally deplete it with the capital improvements that are needed in the future. The other thing is that plan is due to be re-looked at and renewed. And my suggestion would be also is we could ask Rural Water to look at our stats now, because I'm sure with that being 10 years ago, they would be glad to update to see where we're at and make sure that we're following what they would be a best guidance for how you keep that fund going. So that's what I uncovered this week. Although I do agree that the water rates are higher than I feel the average around here. So if there's some fluctuation that the council wants to do to give the community members a break, that's council's prerogative. So.
Is there a
Something else?
resolution in the packet to set this evening, or is this under discussion?
No, I placed the resolutions that were in there when we pulled them in the 2016 meeting, and they have that 10-year rates, the rates that were part of that 10-year plan following it, change the date. So if you decide to prove it today, it'll be just changing that date. Otherwise, that resolution can come back to us at a later date. You can make changes on it as well and during this meeting, so however you choose.
So I spent a good amount of time looking at this, so thanks for finding the capital improvement project plan from a long time ago. I think based on our discussions in the budget hearing of our water and sewer fund balances, I think in the short term, I think we're okay with not increasing the rates for water and sewer. I am concerned with it looked like over $2 million of projects that were not completed from the 2020 to 2026 capital improvement plan. I'm worried that those numbers are out of date, maybe have increased. I reached out to someone on the planning commission today. They said that they're not aware of a new capital improvement plan that they're working on. Due to this one expiring, I think it would be my recommendation that we complete a new capital improvement plan, identify any projects that need to be done that aren't currently listed in the packet. I'm sure there's more that have sprung up since that was completed. And then also redo the Michigan rural water study based on those new capital improvement numbers that when we get that back.
Do we know of any plans in the works to update our capital improvement program from the planning commission? Is there?
The commission doesn't have any jurisdiction over the capital. That's a village to do that. We have the master plan.
They tend to work in coordination often, and it often does start at planning commission and then is submitted to village council for approval. And what I'm guessing is no one made anyone aware that it expired as of March. So it was a 6-year plan. It expired in March of this year. There isn't a current capital improvement plan.
I don't remember ever being on planning commission and going through a capital improvement plan. I thought it was always discussed at the council level.
Look back at the meeting minutes, it kind of explains the process and
Okay.
in the capital improvement plan.
And my guess is that at the time, the planner really walked you guys through that, which might not be. And it also being, we didn't have great capital improvement plans for a
Right.
long time. And then,
Right.
like I said, for around 2018, it started being developed and pushed on. And especially under Connors, and it's something he finally provided.
That would have been, and I was off planning commission also.
Right. And so, but regardless, the capital improvement plan is definitely a necessity. It's something we have to do anyways. What I'm concerned about is the same thing Councilmember Powell brought up. What did and did not get completed, as our clerk treasurer mentioned, several of the planned capital improvement projects under the water system were not completed. I recall there's a mandate that Eagle's requiring that we start to replace a lot of different lines, and that we're going to slowly start working through those, but it's incredibly expensive for us to do that. I do not recall what any of the specifics are on that. Could you elaborate on what?
Well-
If you read through the plan, it calls out there were different sections that were identified for replacement. It also called out replacement of the well, as well as the water tower. So it's not just lines, it's largely our whole infrastructure.
What was the timeline that we had for complying with it? Because I remember it was you have to go do it. I remember Brian making a
think-
presentation about it as well.
I think there was a little more flexibility, in particular for the water well replacement, because that was a big ticket item.
Right.
That because of the planned construction that GLEWA was working on, we would have additional redundancy that we wouldn't need to do the additional well.
Okay.
But I also don't know where we are with that and if that is still true. So, and I think that's why we just need an updated plan
Well, I don't disagree.
that we have what those deadlines are, because it's an old plan, and I think some of the requirements or expectations have changed since 2020.
That's where I'm uncomfortable with us moving in either direction. Any savings we can give on the water rates, I'm all for, but not if it's a trade-off to we go back to doing things the way we were before, where we're not properly prepared for any infrastructure improvements, which is what caused these massive rate hikes in the first place. I just want to be fiscally responsible about it. It's really hard to do that when there's a lack of any current information whatsoever. I guess I want further clarification on. I mean, I ran some math on it. I have no idea if I'm right, so I'd like to know if it is correct. But so my understanding, if being in year 7 of 10 years for the rate hike, we've saved up a large amount when we weren't before. And before we were, from what I even recall, my first term on council, we were running at a deficit. We were bringing in less than we were spending every year, and that was a massive problem. Now we're not only being able to actually cover those costs, we're building up a capital improvement plan. We know we have a bunch of projects coming up that we're going to have to do, but we don't know how many or how much it's going to cost. Do we have enough? Probably not, maybe. Can we slow down the rate hike? Can we forego a rate hike for a year? I have no idea what the right answer is, but if we were to go along with the rate hike that we had been planning for the 10 years, by my math, and I'm not stating this as fact, I could definitely be wrong, it's an average of about $4.09 a month. It's 5.2% of an average household savings if we don't do the rate hike. If we keep it right where it's at, it's an average of $4 a month. But, so it doesn't seem like a monumental amount of savings that we'd be providing to the water customer, but it blows a $200,000 hole in the budget that we just passed that assumes we were going to pass these hikes, which we don't have to do. I'm just saying, if that math is correct, it doesn't seem equitable to me to say, well, we'll save you $4 a month to the water customer, not substantial savings that they're going to feel, but it does move us significantly backwards in the capital improvement plan funding that we're doing, so we actually properly prepared for water infrastructure, which was something that this council failed to do for many decades and put us in this position in the first place to be the bad guys and rate hike like crazy to actually be prepared to do these improvements. I'm not sure where all the money that we have saved up is supposed to go and what we need it for. I definitely want more information. I guess I'm not comfortable saying no rate hike, minimal rate hike, or massive rate hike without being more certain where we stand. I don't like the idea of moving backwards. Yes, times are tough. Yes, our water is very expensive, but there's a reason why we did it. And I don't want to be 70% of the way through a plan that everyone has suffered through to then start moving backwards and fail to achieve what everyone just suffered for.
Because at some point that rate hike's going to come back, and it's going to come back larger.
Well, and another thing to consider is that these rate hikes bake in the rising cost of the rate hike passed down to us. We're a middleman as a water service provider. So,
And remember, the original proposal on that 10-year hike was the 10-year hike price. The 10-year price was the original price that was proposed to council by the manager. And council at that time laid it out over 10 years, so it would be more equitable to the water customer, not getting hit with such a large chunk at one time. So if you go back and look at those rate hikes and you look at year 10, that was the original proposal to council for the original one-time hike.
the year 7 rates being proposed to us still match as being at or below full cost of the services. It was independently calculated by the MRWA. I mean, the proposal that's in front of us tonight to go along with the one that we originally came before, so we pulled off the agenda before, those rates haven't overshot the consultant's numbers even before 6 years of inflation. It's what we always plan. And again, I'm not saying the plan doesn't need modification. I'm saying I feel as though the information to make an informed decision of whether or not that plan is still good and that's still a thing we should be doing is absent at the moment.
I would agree it's absent. So are we tied to making a decision on yay or nay in tonight's meeting is the real question. Because I feel like there's a need for clarification on some of these projects. Some of them are high priority. Some of them are medium. Some of them are low. Some probably won't ever happen because there's $40,000 for copper and lead abatement per Eagle on East St. Clair. Well, that's going to happen when they do that project.
I think that's the big piece that we need some clarification on, and we've been told is coming about our massive project that we have coming up. Are we taking that out of the fund balance? Are we going out to bond? Like that, to me, has a huge decision point on what our rates are going to look like going forward. Of like, are we using the money that we've built up for this project,
Or even a portion of it.
or portion of it? Exactly. What's the impact on the rest of the capital improvement plan? Taking that big chunk of money or not, or going out to bond. So that's the big piece that we haven't talked about yet too, in this whole discussion about water and sewer rates.
I don't like the idea of going out to bond before tapping that, because that's the whole reason we did it, was we saved it up to use it for this instead of then taking them in a
Yes.
bond and making them pay for it
That's-
again plus interest. But at the
Yes.
same time, if we do and we deplete that fund, what else do we now have to do that's an urgency? So maybe taking out the bond is the fiscal responsibility, but that's kind of why I'm saying is,
Yeah.
here's what I feel like we do know. We were presented with a plan that was accurate at the time that it was presented. We've stuck with that plan. And we do not know if that plan remains to be accurate at this moment, but we also don't have anything in front of us telling us it is not. So my concern is to abandon the plan that was well studied, that was presented, that we have followed 70% of the way, to abandon it now absent any information or data or evidence that we should be abandoning it is my issue. It would be my opinion, it would be my vote to continue the plan tonight, and in the event we are presented with information that would say we should not do that, to modify. We are allowed to modify the water and sewer rates at any point. But we are now not currently in possession of data that tells us to abandon that plan. I, of course, am willing to listen to anything else if we have anything else, but Dale, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, I wanted to jump in to talk about a few things. CIPs are great tools. My experience with them is you have staff develops, with the help of engineers, et cetera, your CIP plan or proposal. Then you take that document along with a detailed map highlighting where all these projects are to the planning commission to say, hey, planning commission, this is what we think should happen in our community going forward for 6 years. Typically, they're 5 or 6 years long. Then the planning commission weighs in. They either bless it, argue about different items, take things in or out, and then they pass it on to the council to do the same review. Same maps, same data. The data is created by your experts, and you have a plan to follow for the next 6 years. You've said a few times now, abandon the existing plan.
10-year rate hike plan,
Okay,
not the CIP.
okay, so we have a rate hike plan to cover the projects in the CIP. As someone who's come in at the 11th hour, it appears to me that between and again, I didn't study the plan, but from what I went through it with Randy and Brian, we are posed to do all of, or a vast majority of the items listed up to this point in the plan, the CIP plan, which would then cost us the money that we've been setting aside. There's the St. Clair Street project, and then there's the School Street project, along with all of the offshoots of the School Street project that we would do in conjunction with the St. Clair Street project, as we had discussed, because they would link. Goal being, as you mentioned earlier, economy of scale. If we get good pricing with our bids for the St. Clair Street project, we evolve that into building the plan that we have in place for School Street, and then the offshoots to link to the St. Clair Street project. That catches us up many, many years of Eagle wish list items. We are not under any requests from Eagle or demands or requirements to do anything other than to verify that we have eliminated potential unknowns in the St. Clair Street water project, which we will do. Already we're planning to do that. So it seems like everything has worked perfectly well in the plan, hand in glove, money's set aside. We have a huge project coming that will require some match, and either we spend all the money we have on the huge project, or we potentially bundle the projects, take out a bond for the match for the big project, and then we use existing funds to pay for that additional work if it's economically feasible. That puts us right at the end of the 6-year CIP with the next proposal coming from engineers, planners that do this kind of thing every day for municipalities. And then you will know, just as you said, you'll have the data that shows either we need to hold these rates to fund these future projects, or where the rates are today will more than fund those projects over the next 6 years. That data will come along. Just like you said, you're at the end of one big data stream with a 10-year funding program. So I don't know if that helped in the thought process.
It did, but the part I'm still confused about that I'm hoping you can clarify. Early on in that statement, you said something along the lines of, we're very close to being able to complete all of the planned projects.
Yes.
When you say that, hold on, just so I'm on the same page with you, the funds that we have saved up, if we have enough of a fund balance built up to complete all of those, or because you also then later in your statement said, if we want to use up all of what we've saved up on the big project, like it sounds like that makes me think it's an either and or. We can do all the other little projects and not the St. Clair Street project, or we blow everything we've saved up to this point on just the St. Clair Street project, which if that's even close to accurate, that means we haven't saved enough to do it all.
Well, in the St. Clair Street project, there is $1 million match. That goes for water, sewer, and road. The majority of that really will be roads, because water and sewer have the funds to pay for their own
Portions of it.
portion of this project.
Right.
It's not really, if you want to cut right down to it, it could be an either or, depending on the way the bids come in.
Mhm.
And that's why we're we're prepared, we're about to go out for bids on that project. We'll see what a lineal foot costs. It is anticipated, not drawn out on paper to be exactly precise, but it's anticipated that the funds will be there to pay the matches and do the work, water and sewer wise. And then any additional monies we need would be road related extra costs.
But it is possible to be an either or, so it is possible to have undersaved. It's possible that we could still do it all and that we've saved enough.
Everything is possible at this moment. We're
which
right,
makes it
we're
impossible
close.
to make a fiscally responsible choice as to, are we done having to raise the rates to save enough to do these projects so that we don't then get underfunded and then have to bond out and make them pay the same amount but plus interest? That's my whole issue here. Is I know it has been painful and there has been a lot of suffering and having to pay those bills for all this period of time. And to stop it short of reaching the actual goal, to then come back and penalize them even further in order to accomplish those, is my primary concern there. Just don't want to cut it short early. If it's not early, by all means, I'm happy to not have the rate hike. I don't like the rate hike either. Agreeing to the 10-year rate hike, back in my first, that was one of the most painful meetings we ever had. To know that we were going to raise the rates every year for 10 years. But it was the only way to dig ourselves out of the complete lack of funding for infrastructure. We were in a complete financial hole with two funds that were running at a deficit every year. Now they are fiscally healthy, we have savings, and we just don't know if we have enough savings yet before we're talking about cutting off the plan that created the savings in the first place.
But, and it's not an either or too, Stephen. I mean, there's a middle ground here, like, oh, do we have to stay on this same plan with the same increases? Or can we slow those down?
Agreed. It's anywhere in the spectrum. I was going to the two extremes, anywhere on that spectrum.
Right,
And that's what I'm just saying, is I have no idea where on the spectrum we land, which is why I feel like it's premature to abandon the plan absent the new information that would inform us which direction to go.
Well, and I think Stephen's point here is that you also feel that you would like more information to make an informed decision.
I don't agree that this is abandoning the plan. I want to revise the plan and get back on a new plan that we can all agree on, that we have updated
So it comes
numbers
down, so it comes down to this, we don't raise rates this year and we lose the income that the plan would have supported this year going forward.
We could raise the rates at any point. We
At
could
any
raise them
point.
next meeting if we wanted
Yeah.
to. Like, there's no thing that says it has to be a June 30th meeting every year. Like,
Agreed, but the plans we're talking about to get the information we need isn't gonna happen, I don't think.
Anytime soon.
It's not gonna happen anytime soon.
So it is going to blow a hole in the budget, which is why I maybe incorrectly or inartfully am referring to it as abandoning the plan, because the data that we're going to receive after going out to bid and all that stuff, that's a ways down the road. So it will be, in maybe poor terminology, poor way of phrasing it, abandoning the rate hike plan that we agreed to or started implementing 10 years ago, absent the information that we should be. There's also no information saying that we should be continuing. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying we're acting as if we don't need to do this anymore if we don't do it, when we don't know that we shouldn't be doing it anymore.
No, you can also say we don't know that we should do it,
Correct.
I agree.
right? So I don't think we're abandoning it. We're putting, what I'm hearing and I kind of support is, I do support is you pause it for a year at the worst, maybe 6 months or 4 months at the best, and we see where we're at with an actual plan. There's some big projects on here. The biggest one being one that we don't even know if we're going to be required to do anymore, and that's repair a second tertiary well or not, because did GLWA run that big pipe up M53 or not?
Still in the works.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about putting in all of this mileage, and yet we don't ever get updates from them other than when, they need more money. Just, I mean, that's the only, they tell us when a pipeline breaks and to expect that our rates are going to go up some more. They don't ever say, hey, by the way, we're gonna save you some money by getting water cheaper to you, so.
I'll just say I lived through the years when we held back rates, and because we did that, this plan had to be made. And because when the plan was made, and look at the 10-year price, that was what was put before us, and we grafted it out so we would be building capital every year. I don't like raising water rates, but I can't agree to go backwards and put it on hold for a year because that's too much income for improvement and for remaining a balance that in the long run, if we have to raise rates again, it's probably just going to be a bigger hit to the water customer at that time. That's my opinion.
That's my only concern is if we were to just say pause it, we're not doing anything, and it saves, goes the whole year, it pulls a $200K hole in the planned budget for where we would be at, and then we end up having to raise rates even more to penalize them or borrow and take interest on it. It's even more of a punch to them for doing that. And is there even a middle ground here where we raise rates only enough to cover the GLWA increase? Because otherwise we're starting to once again spend more than we're taking in. We're already cutting into that savings.
I would agree that we cover the water, cost of water
At the
increase,
bare minimum. I
But-
don't think we should discuss
but
anything
not,
below that.
like you keep saying we're blowing a hole, a $200,000 hole. It's very difficult for myself or to go to somebody and say, just trust me, we'll spend your $200,000 on the best project we can. Versus, here's the plan, these are the projects, this is what it's gonna cover. I know the waters are more expensive, but this is what you're gonna get from it. Right now, we're just telling them, but we just wanna put it in the bank. We'll use it correctly.
That's not exactly true, Pete. There's a list on the capital improvement plan that still exists, which is now expired, of those projects that are not complete, and we don't know that we have enough to cover them without bonding.
We don't know that we need to do any of those projects.
Well, hold on. I mean, it's not that we don't know if we need to do any of them. There's one in particular we don't know, but I mean, point taken. My only point is that again, it could cut either way.
Point taken. And 3-4 years ago, we re-piped Almond Avenue. And there was funds at that time that were supposed to be available to also do Hamilton and part of Juliet. Well, they ran into rock that wasn't anticipated. The price went up and only half of that project got finished. So we still have an entire subdivision that's on old crap pipe that still needs to be done. And that's just one.
It's not even on the
And
plan.
that's not even on the plan, but that's one that was worked on and should still be being planned and worked on going forward. It was at least a $150,000 to $200,000 project, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I guess I'm just saying.
so we can say we do have these projects that need to be done, and we need to maintain a capital improvement fund, A, to do those, B, to cover emergencies, and C, to maintain the balance of the plan that was well thought out by an independent agency outside of us that recommended it.
When it was considered, when we came up with the 10-year rate plan, we have a very aging water sewer system. And there are numerous things that need replaced. Most of the ones on the water list have not ever even been done. And since that plan has progressed, I'm sure there's more that needs to be done, not less. I doubt that our very aging system.
But one of the things we have done that we came out of those funds was relining a lot of the storm sewers.
And I didn't say we did nothing.
And we saved a lot of money doing it that way. So how much has technology changed in 10 years? Granted, a third party 10 years ago told us this was the best thing we could do.
Oh,
At 6 years,
seven
Right,
years.
and I don't think.
at 6 years, I think we're like, hey, what's changed since 2020? And we need to reconsider what's out there.
And I don't disagree with that. I think we should do everything that's been said about replanning it and relooking at it. I think the argument comes down to is for this year, what is the rate plan? Is it just doing the
I would cover, my personal opinion is we cover the cost of water increase because that's just something that's been handed to us. I wish we could tell them no. But unfortunately, they get the water from the lake and we can't. And
Are you saying that's your proposal for this year or until we have
until
more
we have further information.
So how do you split that? Because there's a flat rate for sewer, variable rate for sewer, flat rate for water, variable rate for water. So how are you?
First of all, just for clarification, we can't make a motion for setting a water rate that's more than a year right now anyways, right? We have to set it every year. Is that correct? We can change it more than once a year, but don't we have to set it every year? So I mean, again, if that were the case, we made a vote, 7 years ago, here's what the water rates are going to be for the next 10 years. We're not all stuck to abiding by that. We've chosen annually what we're doing. So we can only vote what we're doing for this year right now. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
yeah. So she's saying shorter than a year.
Right. And that was
That's
what
what Mindy was asking.
it was asking clarification on. Would that be your recommendation for the entire year or just until we have more information to go on?
Can we pass a resolution that is a TBD anyway? Or wouldn't you just make the resolution as for the year? but then
you
come
would
back?
set it, but then you would go
Right.
back.
Right.
But that's what I was just looking for clarification on.
Okay.
That was his proposal, would be set it for the year, or it would be set it for however long it was for us to get more information. Would be your sort of expectation.
I have no doubt that we're all in consensus. We desperately need more information so we can feel like we make an informed decision. We just don't know.
I think everybody,
Well, and I dug out from 2018, Kim prepared a memo from us just to provide as an example, like this is the sort of thing we had to consider before, was there were lots of options. There was do nothing, don't raise the rates, this is the impact. There was, 4, 5, 6 different options that were laid out for us, which was extremely helpful for us to make an informed decision. I don't think we would need 6 months for that much information, just to say, if we did it as Pete suggested, this would be the impact on fund balances, on what we would have to deal with in our capital improvement plan. Just to have that little bit of additional information would give at least me some comfort moving forward of like, here's a few options for us to consider. Also having a better idea of some of the items that you were talking about, Dale, of like, what are we looking at, bond versus using our fund balance? What's the impact on what money we have available? I think for me, taking a couple of more weeks to gather that information, if that's possible in 2 weeks, would give me a lot more comfort in setting
Any
rates
rate?
for the year.
Any rate, whatever it may be.
Right.
I do not disagree at all.
And I have to put this in because every time we talk about water, I say we can not continue to bill quarterly. It is a huge burden on people, and I have a really hard time continuing to raise rates under the same old system that many communities have already moved away from. This is the only bill I pay quarterly, and I brought mine in today. It's almost $600. That's not sustainable. We cannot continue on this path of these large bills on a quarterly basis. I know it's going to be painful for village staff. It takes more hours to process that. We've got to figure out efficiencies. We have to do something about it. Every person I ask, what's the number one thing in Almont that you want to complain about? Is water bills. You guys have all heard my soapbox speech on this before, but I think we need to consider that when we're talking about water and sewer rates.
so do we have a consensus of council to table per Mindy's recommendation? To staff, what Minnie has asked to be done, can that be done in 2 weeks, or do we need to table this till August?
Please table it till the first meeting in August to give us time to do some checking for you. I think we need to go to water, sewer, or rural water and ask them if they can give an update on what we have. According to Brian, everything that was listed on the spreadsheet that I gave you, that I took all the little tables out of the capital improvement, those are still needed, and he said there's been some major repairs going on that we need to make sure we have fund balance for because the system's older. The other issue I have is, like, I agree with Mindy. I came from Dryden. We switched many years ago to bi-monthly. Doing monthly is very hard in a small staff. There's just no way we're constantly doing a shut off and all of that, but to go bi-monthly really helps the resident budget a little easier, especially with this high influxation of when the rate, I had several calls when the bills went out because Pam's not here, so you're fielding them and you hear more of that story because they used 2,000 or 3,000 extra gallons, and it makes a $70 difference in their bill with the way our rates are. So it's a shock,
So
you know.
as clerk treasurer, can that change be made here?
As far as the bi-monthly,
Yes.
yeah, I don't see why you can't say that, and we can work towards getting that going. Also, if you don't make a decision till August, at this point, whatever the rates are going to be are not going to affect anything till the October 1st bill. So we're fine to give it a little bit of time.
Yeah.
If you give a 30-day notice on that rate change and you take August to get some information together, I don't see that. I think you're doing your due diligence as elected officials for the residents, if you all have questions, so.
Council, is council
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well. And whatever information, I know you find the previous presentation to us about what the cost of going to monthly billing or other forms of billing suspicious. So
Bias.
if you, I wasn't even going to go that far. I wasn't suspicious. I tried to downplay it. Can you please provide us with whatever information? There was a cost basis of switching provided to us before. If you could just take a look at that and provide us your own version of it, so we can take a look at that.
we're tabling both water and sewer rates, and then I'm assuming.
I would assume.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify. Okay, let me.
So if we're going to discuss switching the frequency, the intervals of monthly billing at the same time we're doing this, I want new data on that too.
I would not suggest monthly billing, bi-monthly. They get it every other month.
My only issue is that if it increased costs, that feels like it's counterproductive, especially since people are allowed to pay monthly right now.
Exactly.
At no additional cost to any water customer. They're allowed to do it right now. I know that that's not a thing that most people know. We need to be better about that. We need to share that information more, at least in the meantime for the next quarter. But if there is data that supports that it's not that much of a cost increase to switch it, okay, I'm open ears. So,
And
Okay.
if you guys want to talk, Dale and Andy, about how it shouldn't be an additional cost at all.
Oh, there's additional costs, but
Oh,
I
no.
think it's a savings on both sides of it, so.
or it's more postage, it's
Yeah.
more hours.
Well, the other side that we are not doing, and I've mentioned it before, is setting up the ACH payment. And when we do that, the majority, it takes a bit to get everybody that is desired that on the system, but you will find that about 90% of the people are not coming into the window or mailing their bill. We're doing a one-time sweep out of their accounts when they give us permission to do that at the date of the billing, and that saves time.
But and
Right there.
ACH
So we-
doesn't come with a fee. That's the other problem, is that with BSNA, the only way to pay your utility bill online is with a, what is it, 10% fee?
It's 3%.
Either way, it feels exorbitant when it is a fee based on the amount of my water
Yeah.
bill, which becomes astronomical every time I receive it. So, I mean, I would crawl on broken glass here with my check before I'm going to pay an additional percentage on the growing fee.
So
The ACH is free, is it not?
there's a cost to us on the banking side, so we
Mhm.
would see a fee on
Which
that.
we
It's
do
just-
not have to pass on to our water
Correct,
customers.
and
It's
most-
called the cost of doing
Most
business.
communities don't, because the cost of that is still cheaper than the staff the postage, the
Exactly.
stock, the paper stock, everything you have to do, so.
Which makes it far more
Correct.
convenient
'Cause
and easily
you-
accessible.
I would say it would take possibly a year to get that system up where a lot are using it, but also many will switch to getting their bill by email too, because when you're taking on the new customers and we have changed, you sell that to them as this is an option. And we did not have a problem with that. In Pentwater, I saw very little traffic at the window. Most people were on the ACH payment system. That's what most of us do these days anyways,
Yeah,
so.
because most people already elect for e-billing from
Correct.
DTE, from consumers, from all of their credit card companies. That's just,
And
and if we're not considering agentic processing, we need to consider that.
What was that word?
Agentic. So AI agent. So basically it automates that whole billing process into a download the file into one thing, outputs all of the other information. So you don't even have human intervention.
It might be what's part of available in the BSNA cloud when we go to it, so I haven't had a lot of demonstration, but lately when I'm doing anything, looking at new software, they talk about the AI component to it, so.
We can do it right.
I haven't
You can do
delved
it right
into
in
it
Excel,
enough,
actually.
yeah, so. Lots of stuff to bring back to council.
So to restate clarification, council is in consensus to table both resolutions on water and sewer rates tonight to get additional information and recommendation from staff to be put on the August 1st agenda.
August 1st.
August 1st.
First meeting in August. The first meeting in August.
You didn't know he just scheduled the special meeting?
Like, where's the calendar?
Sorry about that.
So I just had a question. So we're not asking for a new capital improvement plan. We're just going to revise the previous one to be.
We have
Need
no
one.
choice.
Yeah.
CIPs are required by law. We have to do it. It's expired. That's just also going to take a significant amount of time.
So how do we kick that off?
Say the blow a hole in our budget thing because it's going to take a very long time before you have that type of data. We have to start the CIP regardless. But that's not going to be available by August.
Did
It's
But we're
Roe,
going to do it.
It's going to be available by the end of the year for Lucky.
did Roe do that for us before?
It would have been before we switched to Wade Trim 6 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
Very likely.
but it would have
So-
been the same planner.
yeah, so
Okay,
we'll reach out to
so-
Caitlin for a quote for an updated capital improvement program, plan? Yes? Yeah,
I should get quotes from at least 3 places.
be good,
Please do.
And I'll probably see all those people next week.
perfect.
That works. Let that answer your concern?
Yep, thank you.
Anybody else? That concludes tonight's agenda. Public comment for non-agenda items. Do we have any public comment for non-agenda items tonight?
Good evening. Again, my name is Erica Lako. I'm here to ask for an update on the survey of the post office parking lot that the village previous said that they would be completed within 2 weeks. Can you please provide that?
Gail, do you have updated information?
I do, that's on my notes to cover during my comments.
Okay.
Okay.
Manager will cover that during comments too.
I also want to express my extreme disappointment that the lot has now been restriped, yet no accessible parking spaces were added. Repainting the lot was an opportunity to improve accessibility for residents and visitors with disabilities, and that opportunity was missed. At this point, honestly, this is starting to feel personal. After months of raising this issue, I don't see any meaningful progress. As a resident with a disability, it's discouraging to feel like my concerns are being dismissed. I hope the village will work to address these accessibility issues.
Anybody else with public comment tonight? Being none, we have nothing on open discussion. Council manager comment, Manager Kerberson.
Yes, actually, the first item on my list here to go over is an update of the handicap accessible survey for the downtown. I ended up getting a quote from our engineer to look at the public and private parking in the downtown that the DDA and the village oversees, and then to look at it in a handicap accessible way. It's really two different projects total to figure or come up with a detailed survey of the status of our handicap accessibility. They started with maps. They had to reach out to the county for high resolution maps of the downtown, which the county takes every year. They do a flyover of the entire county, high resolution photos. So the engineers reach out, tell them exactly where they need the photos of. That was done. They get that data back from the county, and then they pour over it, analyze the number of spaces and that sort of thing. Then they will plug into those calculations the requirements for ADA accessibility and that sort of thing. As we know, there's already been discussion with MDOT about accessibility spots on M53, and we will end up with a detailed report from our engineer. It will probably be at least an additional month. Never was 2 weeks quoted in having this review done. The process is well underway, and we should have, as I say, a physical, detailed final analysis. I believe it would be within a month of this meeting. So it's in process. The ball is rolling. We recently updated the website for the homecoming committee. They wanted some active or firework related additional graphics added to our website under their section of our website. I'm still not certain where the fireworks are going to go. I haven't heard from anyone in weeks about it. They have not approached us at all to talk about future fireworks being for that event within the village. So I'm
Were you aware of what took place at the last township meeting?
no.
The homecoming committee, Paul Bowman appeared before the township and requested a variance of their fireworks ordinance because he wanted it to take place at Blake's backyard. He had worked out a deal with Blake's for it to take place there. The township had over an hour debate and discussion with Paul at the podium. First, they agreed to a variance of allowing the date only and would not agree to that location because the Pinecrest residents would be very upset, and they said they'd be tone deaf to agree to it. They pushed him to go back to the school, and he said he would resign if that was the case. He's not going to do that. And ultimately, they made a second motion giving a variance, not only allowing the date, but also approving of 3 locations to give him options. One being Blake's backyard if the fireworks were to take place on the east side of Van Dyke. All the spectators would still be on the west side of Van Dyke, but the fireworks themselves are to take place on the east side of Van Dyke because Blake's owns both sides of the road. It would at least hopefully draw people away from it, but there was obviously going to be still a need for additional police presence and everything else. So that was location number 1 that the variance approved. Location number 2 was for the township-owned baseball fields in next to the Bells in the village, which Mr. Bowman indicated was something he wasn't interested in because he would have to seek village approval. And the third that they approved for their variance was for the schools, which he indicated he was refusing to go back and ask again because the superintendent, who's not been replaced, but the superintendent, which was under her authority, declined and would not allow it after contacting their insurance company, who said absolutely not. And so that's why the township board said, we'll go back to them and lean on the new superintendent to do it. And he said any brand new superintendent who just got his job this week and then overrides the insurance company and does it anyways, that's not going to happen. So he was refusing. He basically said it's Blake's or bust. So they gave him 3 locations that they approved it for. There was only one that the homecoming committee is even interested in pursuing. That's what they publicly stated at the township's meeting. Just for clarification, that's where they're aiming for. Nothing is finalized, but it's pretty narrowed down.
That was last night?
That was the last township meeting, the previous one.
Oh,
The Monday-
okay. So,
This, actually, I apologize, their special meeting, I was watching because they were voting on our police services contract. That took all of 30 seconds, and then they spent an hour talking about fireworks.
okay.
So,
Again, we were asked today to improve our website with these firework graphics and the date. So we did it. I believe we were able to do that today. If not, it's in the works. So I just thought I would bring that up. I'm glad. Thanks for the update. In the next few days, we will be sending out reviews for my position. It's called out in my contract that the council will review me or they will be financially penalized. So we will get those out, and then my reviews and the contract will be on the agenda for the next meeting.
performance evaluation.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I think that's it right now. And of course, I can answer any questions, anything comes up.
Treasurer Listman, do you have anything to bring to council?
I do not.
Councilman Glasser,
Dale covered mine.
was that?
Dale's got mine covered.
Councilman Coleman,
A couple. So I know we don't normally respond to public comment, but Erica, just so that we're clear, that painted and striping area in front of Gas Becker, in front of the post office, that's a private parking lot. It's not the village's parking lot. He did that on his own. If you look, those stripes are not to any standard. No, they're not. He just took.
So is it the planning commission that would oversee that private lot?
No, the owner of the building. So the guy who owned the insurance company, because it is personal, because he's personally against everybody in this in the town.
Well, obviously, like.
Yeah,
He
so
owns you all.
he owns that building and subleases the post office space.
Right, but there's no handicap spot.
I
to get the mail.
I understand, but that all that sealing and striping and everything, he did that. So the question about where the survey lands, I would bet money that where that chip seal stops is the survey line of where the village starts to own. Because he's not going to spend a drop of paint or sealer on village property. So unfortunately, I don't know if he's required to have a handicap spot. I always thought you were as a building owner.
Absolutely, you are.
So
Gave the laws and all the recommendations to before the last meeting.
yeah, so that's kind of, he's in violation of
Yes.
ADA law. It's not a village piece of property. So we'd like to, if we could buy that lot, I would be the first one proposing to buy it and take it from him, and I'm sure I'd get some support here, but overwhelmingly, Yeah, because it's a nightmare.
It's just gonna grow, the concerns are just gonna grow because the coffee shop had bought the H&R Block, which is great, they're growing, their business is growing, it's just.
Oh, well,
harassment.
That's the reason why he tortures us. That's the whole reason.
Coffee shop people cannot park there without him threatening to
Yes.
tow their vehicle, so,
Witnessed it.
yeah. So my second question, yeah, Dale, go ahead.
Well, just since we're on that topic, Mr. President, if I might, I inspected that personally, and you are absolutely right, it is precisely on the line. But additionally, I was checking into it because we pulled the survey of that area twofold to establish the absolute line related to the Gas Becker property. But we also needed to know exactly where those large potholes in that alley, whose property they're on. So we did establish that it is the property owner's land that owns the actual post office. He has been notified and, made aware that he needs to repair those potholes. They're serious and dangerous. And I haven't been there to check this week. I don't know if he's done it already, but that is definitely his property. It's clearly marked now on that new survey. So it made it much easier to be direct with the property.
Yeah, as of yesterday, they weren't fixed when I walked by there to get my mail, so.
Okay.
The second question I have is about the East St. Clair project. Very disappointed in the timeline. I was telling Councilman Schneider before the meeting, if it was up to me, I would be on the project manager's tail about their lack of urgency to get this thing done. I just can't believe they're so slow, but that's just my opinion. Are we going to have a public comment session on the design? I know we're going out to bid on a design that they've established. I'm sure they have prints because they're going to get bids. Are we going to have an open public comment session on that design? Because it's going to be a permanent change to the community. So, I mean, at least the people who live on the street are going to want to know, what am I about to look out my front door at for either the rest of my life, or am I putting my house up for sale before construction starts or right after it ends? Because honestly, I've considered that. So are we going to have a public session to see what the plan is, or are they planning on at least making a poster board, artist rendering of this is what it looks like today, this is what we're going to look like tomorrow, and why, and how much better it's going to be?
Not something that I had considered. I would say, again, I'll refer to the phrase, my experience is that the engineers, the city staff worked in the very best interest of the community. So the design, the layout, the placement of the utilities, the driveway approaches, all that's, every detail along those lines have been considered and discussed and reviewed. It is not a bad idea to do exactly what you're saying, in a sense that not necessarily a public comment, but a public presentation of what we expect. It could be on the website, it could be presented here, or covered in the newspapers about how the road will change. It's still a road. It'll be a new road, and it'll be a little smaller road. So, generally it isn't that great of a change, except everything will be new, and it will be more narrow because the goal was to move the utilities outside of the roadway so that when there was maintenance or damage or breakage, we wouldn't have to dig up the road to get to them. So,
But at a minimum, can all of that be presented to us before we actually send it out to bid? I mean, I'd like to see what it looks like, and I think having a public
Absolutely.
hearing so that the public can weigh in on it,
sure.
and then after we have a public hearing, follow it up on our website in a publication. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Well, because
the idea of, I know there's a bunch of overly qualified people doing it. That's great. They're not the ones who have to live here or pay for it. I think we should be the ones to actually get a say on it before it goes out to bid.
Well,
It seems
and-
reasonable.
two thoughts. One, growing up here from, kindergarten on up, this town does not accept change well. Okay, so, and then second, human nature is if you tell me it's going to change, I'll tell you why it's not going to. So why don't we help everybody accept the change and see it before it happens? That way we don't have, because you want to have a whole audience of people here, like when things go wrong, that's the perfect project to make that happen.
Do you remember when M53 was a dirt road for 2 years in the 90s? That was fun.
Well, and that's another piece of it is kind of set expectation for construction timelines. What can I expect for utilities going in? Am I going to be able to get in and out of my driveway, or do I have to go out the back and run over, somebody's front lawn getting off Black Court? So.
Good idea.
Yeah, excellent suggestion.
When Councilmember Feldman was mentioning his frustrations with the delays, I told him that I'm not certain if this is accurate, and I wanted to ask, is it true that part of the delays, they couldn't move forward the project at all until you got the grant submitted to
No.
UPA? So, I gave them a tiny bit of, maybe it was because they were waiting for us to submit that. It took a very long time to get access and submit it, but they've just made no progress since being here in front of us several months ago.
Progress, but not what we would like to see. And we can have them explain the details of what has occurred that has made it take another 4 weeks. I know they're working on it because we talk about it on a very regular basis, but I also agree with you that it has been very slow towards getting it out to bid.
I will fall short of saying we need to call them onto the carpet, but let me put it this way. We canceled homecoming last year because of the street project that was supposed to take place this year. And when they were in front of us before, we demanded monthly updates, and we're lucky to get quarterly updates. And each time we see delays, if there is progress, I have no idea what that progress is. There has been an enormous amount of time that has gone by, and I have no idea what they do at all during those time periods. It just feels like every once in a while they go, yep, nope, not yet. In fact, it's going to be even longer. That's the only information we actually know. That's not fair to this board and certainly not fair to our constituents, because now we're back to, we're a whole nother year later, and it might start to impact these festivals. I know the DDA is still saying they can't even put together their maps for approval of street closures for the Heritage Festival because they have no idea if St. Clair will be torn up because we're all waiting for updates. I'm sure you're very, very perturbed by this, but I know that was also a concern for the homecoming committee when they originally started planning. My only point is we could all use actually relevant information. This isn't on you, Dale. This is me just airing my frustration to you that I think they should have to come before us and tell us, what the heck is going on at all. And if there's going to be the possibility of future delays, tell us why, what we might expect. Leave us a little more than just maybe we'll hear from them in another 4 months.
Preferably at the next meeting. Sure. Anything else, Councilmember Feldman?
Nope.
Councilmember-
Sorry, Pete.
Councilmember Schneider.
Couple of small ones. What's going on with the tree in Burley Park? Is that in Burley Park? It looks like it's in Burley Park's lot. What's going on there? Do we know anything about that?
Well, you're talking about a very sensitive area.
I'm asking publicly.
Trees and Burley Park. We believe the tree is not in the park. It's laying in the park, but the tree itself that broke is not in Burley Park. There was an addition to Burley Park years ago, according to our DPW director, and they were checking into where exactly that is.
You tell me we need another survey.
That was yesterday, and I said to him, I am not getting another survey. You have got to know, we gotta be able to figure out where that is. Because the linchpin to the area is the larger historically monitored tree. So if we knew where that is, we'll be able to determine where the other tree is. So that's where we're at. DPW director was very busy over the last pre-holiday days monitoring an ongoing issue with our water system in Great Lakes Water. But we had a storm, they're busy chipping that. They had a water leak that we brought in an emergency repair company to do the end of last week. Anyway, it's done. They've been busy, so they haven't gotten back to that. That tree was as of what, Sunday?
Saturday.
Was the storm Saturday or
It
Sunday?
was on the 4th.
Okay.
Saturday.
So
on the
Saturday.
So,
All right.
clarification, it is either in Burley Park or it is in the residence immediately adjacent to it, correct?
Correct.
Has anyone spoken to that resident?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And the question then is, the first words out of the DPW supervisor's mouth is, are we going to take care of it? Because it is not a break that we could deal with. If it was laying on the ground, that's a different story, but it's still attached to the tree and therefore a little dangerous, and we are not going to
A tree service is going to be necessary, whether it's publicly or privately owned property.
Right.
Right.
So we would obviously then handle the extra of the material if in fact it ended up in the park and we had to help clean it up. But
That park is sensitive in nature, as you mentioned. We need to get that tree out of there as quickly as possible, whether it's pressing on the resident to do it or whether it's us that needs to clean it up, as long as we're on top of it quickly before we have more public comment accusing us of not caring about that park. I noticed that there's an absence, my second issue, I noticed there's an absence of certain reports in our council packet for a while now, so that haven't been shown. We used to get the EMS and fire reports, and I haven't seen them in a while. I feel like some of the reports are
Not receiving anything like that.
yeah, well, we used to.
we haven't got one, and they would come to us via mail. But
Can we reach out and say, how come you guys stopped providing us with the same monthly information that you were for years? We went a very long time absent a DDA director's report, and then we started getting it again. Now we're not getting it again. Again, if we're, I don't know if it's just not making it into our packet or if we're just not receiving it. Again, there were a lot of monthly reports that we were receiving that I'm not seeing anymore, and I'd like those to go back in. You know, our consent agenda is contained usually of lots of different information for us to review, and it's been getting really thin lately, and I start to wonder what's going on. So I'd just like if we could try to get it back up to snuff on that one. My third issue is, yes, also the Gas Becker lot, very fun. I would like to mention only, I know you had mentioned and we had discussed previously, when the survey is complete, that you would put it back before council alongside what your thoughts were for what we could do for dealing with the issues with that particular property owner and the fact that he goes out of his way to wreak havoc and torture the citizens of this community, trying to address that in whatever way we can, whatever forms of enforcement we need to do, and that this council, if it fell within Planning Commission's purview to address, that we would at that point then send that issue to Planning Commission so that they could get on it. Maybe even sending our ordinance enforcement officer out, or referring to Chief Smith if it's a fire code violation. What is it that we can actually do? I just want to see that on the next agenda so that we can actually press forward on that issue, which is, I'm sure, what Ms. Schlegel is after, and that's what we've been waiting for. And just to comment, if you were referring to the 2 weeks, if you remember, you would ask me, how long? Well, I said, I won't tell you how long. I don't see why it can't be done in 2 weeks, but I also said I can't control the surveyor. I wait too long in my own business waiting for them to come in. I get frustrated when I know it should be done in 2 weeks, and sometimes I wait 8, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 4. I said I would not promise you a date because I can't promise you a date. So I don't see why it can't be done in 2 weeks, but I can't promise you for exactly this reason. It took longer than 2 weeks. It's not up to us. I know our village manager might continue to reach out. Where is it? We'll get it when we get it. I also want to press on this issue. I'm sure you don't believe that, or at least don't know how badly I want to press on this issue. very badly want to. We just want to do it in a way that's actually going to create some sort of change.
I just want to help the other people that I know are struggling with their now.
I agree. It's what I want to. I just want to do it in a way where we can actually get change, not just complain about it. And I don't mean that you are. I mean, I know we have complained about it and have failed to actually been able to do anything about it. So we're trying to find a way where we can actually create positive change. Well, that's it. That's my 3 issues. Thank you.
Okay, just a couple highlights from park business. Music in the Park kicks off this Thursday at 7 p.m. So feel free to stop by the park for some great music. Another kind of pretty significant deal at the park is that the Almont Youth Baseball Association approached us about improving the ball field at the park so that it can be used as part of some of the younger kids for t-ball and maybe up to like second grade age kids to use that on a consistent basis. I know your daughter's t-ball team started using that because of the shortage of playing space over at the township ball fields. So I think it's going to be a nice partnership. They are going to pay for materials and have volunteers come improve that playing surface. And we've been talking to Brian about how best to proceed along those lines. My one question for council and then probably you, Dale, is about some type of written agreement and whether we should have one with AYBA about just the use of the field and who's responsible for what. I knew that you would be a nod. I tried to ask if they had one for the township and no one seems to know.
I'm in shock. You want use of jointly owned municipal property for the playing of sports at various times, and they're investing money and they're going to want a right to use a publicly available park and to make it not, they're going to want exclusive use, to not make it available to other parties during that time and to not put any of that in writing. Sounds like a recipe for disaster at some point.
And which is why I brought it up. And I was kind of surprised that one wasn't either readily available or available at all because they do coordinate different teams at the township ball fields. So to me, it sounded like a good idea to have some type of agreement in writing. Dale, I don't know if that's something that you would be able to help spearhead or assist us on.
I could send a few emails to groups that would have access, or Randy could, to the clerks in the state that would have a use agreement like that. We have other use agreements, but they're not for specifically the ball diamond.
Yeah.
And this one's unique in my perspective. I think one of the reasons why there isn't one with the township owns those ball fields. The township votes and approves for them to go ahead and have the use for it. In fact, they provided $117,000 for them to redo things last year with their American Rescue Fund Act. But this is the thing, it's just ball fields. So when they show up, they have exclusive use of it, not because it is also the community's park. That's the complication. Not only just allowing them exclusive use of the ball fields, which they should have, especially if they're paying for the materials and providing the volunteers for the labor for the improvement. I'm all for it. The problem is that it is also inside of a community park that is open to all and not ever meant to have exclusive access except for the pavilion, right? So how do you, that's where the nature of the problem is to me. If it was just ball fields and you want to give them exclusive use, I still think you should have something in writing for liability purposes, but how do you parse those two? That's what makes it a little more difficult, is that you want them to have exclusive use of a certain section of a community park that's open to the entire public. So there's definitely some wordsmithing and legalese that needs to happen there to make that a fair agreement to both sides for protection for both of them.
Yeah, if you could maybe get us a starting point, and then we would need, I'm sure we would want some type of legal review to work through. So that's my ask for assistance on that. Those are the two main items that I just wanted to bring up, unless there's any questions about park business. All right. That's all.
Regarding the East St. Clair project, can we reach out to the Homecoming Committee, Heritage Festival, and 4x4 Lions Club event that was going on to let them know that there won't be any road construction during their events? Because I know they all came before, I think they all came, well, anyway, I think we should let them know because previous communications, we told them there might be road construction, so I think we should let them know that there won't be.
Once there is road construction.
Might change whatever plans they have. Well, yeah, unless, not confident, but.
Me neither.
The other thing I just wanted to say, appreciate everyone's passionate discussion on the water sewer rates. I'm confident once we get the data in hand, we'll make the correct data-driven decision. That's all.
Councilmember Miller.
All of the questions that I have already been answered. And the only comment that I have is that my wife has a handicap placard. So we're very concerned about handicap parking within the village, as a lot of other people are. So I understand the concerns.
At this time, we need to have a motion to go into closed session to discuss the property acquisition.
Steven usually has the line.
Guys, yep, 2 seconds. He's got
Just get a tattoo of it on your arm.
He's got a script, yeah.
I have a script of every different one that we could need. Just give me 1 second. Where'd that go? I've only used it 30 times already.